Well, good morning, YouTube. We're up a little bit early this morning, taking the dogs out for a walk. And then I've got to run over to the post office and see if some more of my shipments have come in that I've been waiting for. So it's not quite time to open yet. Just gotta get some stuff done. Well, I didn't want to give them going to the bathroom on camera, so I figured maybe it'd be better off just switching this thing around. I'm going to start this morning with another one of my not so motivational speeches. One of our subscribers, Pearlie, who we had met when we were in Panama City last week, told me the story, and it was a great story, about how when Hurricane Michael came through, was it Michael? I think it was Hurricane Michael. They came through Panama City Beach area in 2018, in the fall. He was living in Mexico City Beach at the time, and it completely destroyed their home. And they've since relocated. And from what I understand, things are going very well for them. And through our conversation that we had in messaging, you know, it occurred to me that I want people to know that sometimes bad things happen to you in your life and it seems detrimental. But in many of those cases, it's a door being opened for something better. And I know that's hard to swallow sometimes. You know, his house was completely destroyed and they were basically rendered homeless. Sorry, dog kennel behind us, and I think they just realized that my dogs are out. Maybe it's not a good time for the story. We'll continue with it later. All right, everyone. A couple hours later, it's a little bit quieter over here now. So like I was saying, Pearlie sent me a message. Lost his house to Hurricane Michael back in 2018 in Mexico City Beach, Florida. He's since moved up to Leesburg, Georgia. And from what he says, he does not miss at all the things that he lost in that flood. It was devastating at the time, but he's been blessed ever since. And, you know, it reminds me of kind of a story that we went through personally, Katie and I, and this is years ago. Back before the market crashed in 2008, you know, the value of our home that we had increased significantly there in Del Tono, Florida. So there was a lot of people at that time that were flipping houses. They were buying homes really cheap, putting some money into them, and turning around and selling them for really good profits. And at the time, I actually owned a home remodeling company as well as the motorcycle business. And I was like, you know what? We should do this. We should make some money doing it, because a lot of these guys out there don't know how to do anything. They're just buying the houses and sending a contractor out there to repair them. And in some cases, we were that subcontractor that they were sending out to do the repairs. So I was like, well, why don't we do it? We can make the money ourselves, and it'll actually increase our profit margin. So we refinanced our home, and we took the loan money, and we bought another house and started throwing some money into it. And as soon as we were ready to put it on market, that's when that stock market went. The housing crash hit. We could not sell the house. We ended up selling that house for less than what we paid for it after we put a bunch of money into it, just to get rid of it because it was draining us really bad. And it put us in such a bad spot that we even had to make the decision to sell the home that we were living in because we couldn't keep up with it anymore. We had to make a decision. We either sell the motorcycle business or we sell the house, because we couldn't make both work at the time. And the thought process was that without the motorcycle business, we have zero income. So it just made sense to sell the house. And that was hard for us. That was our family home. We raised our kids there. But now you look 10, 12 years in the future, and hindsight being 2020, it was one of the best things we've ever done. Said at the time, it was very difficult. But I look at where we are now. Had we not sold that house in Florida, we wouldn't own our home in North Carolina now. If we had sold the business, we would never have what we have now, going out here and doing these rallies and built a company, and our income level is better than it's ever been in our lives. We're not rich by any means, but we're doing okay. So, you know, in the face of adversity, you got to keep an open mind. Whenever you're put down really low, or you feel like you're in a spot where you can't go any lower, just remember there could be a reason for it. And I know that bad things happen to good people, and sometimes good things happen to bad people. But you got to stay steady and see your way through it, because a lot of times when that door closes, it's another door opening to bring you the prosperity that you needed, that you didn't even know that you weren't in line for. And then sometimes it'll line you up for it. So when bad things happen, stay strong, see your way through it. All right, with all that out of the way, like I said, bad things happen. Today, we had some trouble. This morning, I had to run over to the post office to try to see if my packages were there, which they were not, by the way. But anyway, we jumped in the Mini Cooper and drove up there, and I gave Laura a ride as well. And I noticed that the battery light is on in the Mini Cooper. Now, there's no gauges, it's just those idiot lights. So looks like I do some diagnosing and find out why that light's on. So I don't know whether the battery's just low or if the charging system has stopped working. But either way, I have to address it before it leaves us stuck someplace. And then on top of that, the rim should be here any day now for the trailer that I ordered. So I went over to the tire store, and they have the new tires in stock for me. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this blown tire off of the trailer so that I can take it over there. And I'm going to have them throw tires on the Mini Cooper as well, because they were pretty worn out when we bought it and we haven't changed them yet. Granted, we haven't put a lot of miles on it, but they need to be done because we're starting to get to a point where they're going to be very unsafe, and safety is very important. All right, everybody, so I did a little bit of diagnosis on the Mini Cooper here, and sure enough, the alternator has gone bad. And it's right here on top. Let me show you. So the alternator is right there. Nice and easy to get to, but there isn't enough room to get it out. So go through the service manual. In order to remove that alternator, I've got to take the bumper cover off. Then the aluminum bumper that's actually behind it has to come out. And then the whole radiator assembly has got to slide forward. So I got to find some long bolts to thread back in there that I can slide it forward without actually disconnecting anything, so that I can get my hands in there enough to do it. So that is not going to be a project for today. I'm going to wait till we get home. We don't really use the car for any long distance stuff, especially while we're at Raleigh, but we just run out to get groceries and so on and so forth. So for right now, we're just going to keep the battery topped off. That way, if I have to run a quick errand, I can do so and get back. And then when we get home, we'll have to get an alternator for it. And there's actually a special belt tool that kind of got like a curve to it to reach down in there. I do have a serpentine belt tool with me. It will not reach on this particular car because it's not the right dimensions. So anyway, that will be a video for another day. It'll probably end up being part of one of our In the Shop series rather than a vendor life or a 9 Industries Trucking. All right, guys, here we are about end of the day again. It's about 8 o'clock at night. I'm back up at that same gas station, topping this bike off of fuel again, just like I did last night. We closed a little bit early. Again, slow day. So let's see how much gas this bike uses. You see there, 2.6 gallons, $9.45. Now, we started the bike around 10 o'clock this morning, and I just shut it off right about 8 o'clock, I guess. And then it sat not running for a few minutes while we closed up all the curtains and whatnot. But now I'm going to run it back over there and park it again. Now, I know that this camera angle isn't optimal, but I figured I'd leave you this way because I can mount it to the bike, and you'll see the short little trip I have back over to our site. have it. If it weren't for all the traffic, it literally would only be about a 20-second ride. But of course, everybody's going slow, trying to make turns in the parking lots. But you see it's starting to get dark, it's starting to sprinkle a little bit. It's one of the reasons we decided to go ahead and close early, that and the lack of business. All right, everybody, and that was my dear friend Maddie that you just saw there. She used to work on the rallies as well, and it was nice for her to come by and visit us. She lives local to here, so we'll probably only get to see her when we're doing these Myrtle Beach rallies twice a year. Other than that, we left the site. We're out at TGI Fridays, trying to get some grub, and just kind of good to get away from the site, sit down, have a couple drinks with some friends, iced tea. I'm not much of a drinker, but probably going to end up closing out the video here pretty soon. So I hope you guys liked everything. Please hit the like button, share, and subscribe. And until the next time I see you, keep those engines running. All right, everybody, so I wasn't done just yet. I want to leave another note in here. I know the last couple of days of this show, business has been a little slower than what we'd like. And, you know, I'm not trying to hide that from anybody. I know that there are some people on social media platforms, whether it be YouTube or Facebook or whatever, they only show the rocking and rolling parts. They only show when things are really, really busy. They don't really show the downside. And I just want everybody to know that with my channel, you're going to get the real of what's going on. I'm pretty transparent. I'm not saying I'm going to tell you every intimate detail of my life. Yeah, there are some things that are private. But I am not going to make things up just for YouTube content. It's going to be what it's going to be, so I hope everybody out there respects that. So I could just take pictures only when there's motorcycles on lifts or only when there's 5 or 6 people in the tent and make it look like we're busy nonstop. But it's just not who I am. So we're gonna keep it real. Not every day's a winner. Some days are great, some days aren't. But just want people to know that the content you're gonna get here is going to be real life stuff. I refuse to make up things that don't happen in order to get good content, and I refuse to cut out things because I think it'll be bad content.